Hello, welcome to Perfume. I am Emily, here today with Twixie. And I'm going to review the fragrance called Arden Beauty by Elizabeth Arden. This is a tester I picked up on FragranceNet for like $16. It was a tester, so it doesn't have the red cap or the little Arden Beauty thing that I see on the actual packaging, but it is the fragrance. So let's get into it. I spent like the entire year of 2023 kind of going through one at a time my Elizabeth Arden collection, amassing a big Elizabeth Arden collection. And someone asked, I didn't own this at the beginning of the year, but someone asked me to review it, so I picked it up because it's pretty inexpensive. And I've seen a lot of people, other fragrance reviewers who have enjoyed this, so I decided to try it. And my thoughts on this fragrance are that it is like 1.5 notes away from glory. Like, if it wasn't for one of the top notes and about half of one of the middle notes, I think this would be incredible, like an amazing value. I think it's still a good fragrance if you're a fan of bergamot. If you're a big fan of bergamot, then you probably couldn't get into this. Now, I am not the hugest fan of bergamot. I feel like I was kind of a bergamot hater until I bought the Carolina Herrera Good Girl Blush fragrance that I have recently, which has bergamot and vanilla in a way that just is amazing. So at that point I was like, okay, well, bergamot can be all right, but all right, let me just go through the notes here. Top notes are green notes, rice flower, iris, and bergamot. And I primarily get the bergamot. This is the accords on Fragrantica, like the top 3 accords are green, floral, and powdery. But if there was a bergamot accord, I would put that at the top. Middle notes are lotus, rhubarb, lily, orchid, and ginger. And the base is musk, sandalwood, and amber. Now I think the opening of like the 1.5 notes that I think don't really need to be in this fragrance, or kind of, for me and my personal preferences, kind of ruin it a little bit. I mean, I think it's a good fragrance, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. It's definitely, you know, been around for a long time. I want to say like since the aughts of 2000. And as it wears down, as that opening wears away, it gets a little better for me. But I honestly think that if the bergamot was not in the fragrance, and if it had about half as much ginger in the mid, then it would be 10 out of 10, like amazing value. But as it stands, that opening is so sharp. I think the ginger and the bergamot in the opening are just bam, like too much for me. If you love bergamot, maybe you'll feel differently about this fragrance, but for me it's like too much. The other notes are amazing. Like, I could see this, take half the ginger out, take the bergamot out altogether, just being awesome. You can sense it underneath that overshot of ginger and bergamot. It's definitely got a sharpness in the opening from those 2 notes. There's a complexity. I wouldn't say it's overly powdery, like that being the 3rd accord in the list of accords on Fragrantica doesn't really make that much sense to me, or I don't get that. So I don't know if it varies depending on how old the fragrance is or what batch you get. I don't know. You'd think it would all be standard, you would hope, but yeah, it's not a bad fragrance. It's definitely a springy, dry, not sweet, definitely that sharp bergamot predominance. As that wears down, I start to like it a little bit more. I mean, the iris, I think, is where they're getting the powderiness from. and that comes through a bit, you know. It's not, I mean, in terms of being floral, it says floral, it's not to me that floral. It's got a little bit of that like purple floral iris. The lotus is fairly subtle, the orchid, both of those are subtle floral notes anyway. So for me, this is a almost great fragrance. It's marketed to women. Like when you look, it says for women. The marketing, I think, had Catherine Zeta-Jones, and I was gonna put in that little commercial that I had, which has her on like a train with another woman, like in a red umbrella that floats next to her magically, but my phone is still full, and so I'm doing like low editing, I'm sorry. But I did get my hair done today. This is what a $315 hairdo dye job in Beverly Hills will get you. I think it turned out really beautiful, but it's a lot of money. So I figured I need to film it while I'm fresh from the salon, because I don't do this on my own usually. This is a lot. Yeah, at that rate I can do this like a couple times a year, really. It's just a lot, but beautiful. Turned out great. Get what you pay for, I guess. Anyway, so back to the fragrance. Yes, this is a daytime. I would give it the daytime because of all the citrus, because of the bergamot heavy. I'd say the opening is a little bit sharp. A lot of ginger, a lot of bergamot in the opening. Dry down is a little better. Definitely a good value on this fragrance. Arden Beauty by Elizabeth Arden. A lot of people really like it. I think it might be unisex just because of how it's not sweet. It's not really that fruity, even though it does have rhubarb in it. It's more green and citrus, but that bergamot citrus. So I think it would be interesting to smell this on a man. I'm gonna give it like a spring, maybe late summer kind of vibe in terms of the heaviness. It's not heavy. It does have pretty decent longevity. I'd say it's gonna last like a moderate amount of time, maybe 5 or 6 hours. And if you like bergamot, then you'll probably enjoy this more than if you don't. So, you know, that is what it is. Thank you all for joining, and if you could subscribe, that would be amazing. I'm very close to my threshold. Give this a like if you liked it, and I will see you in my next video. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.